Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Mariquita Solis with We Did It Health, and We Did It. Our mission is to empower you to be a more effective ambassador for your vegan and plant-based life. I'm excited to welcome the wise Dr. Sally Lipsky. Sally is a plant-based nutrition educator, author, and speaker. She authored the book Beyond Cancer: The Powerful Effect of Plant-Based Eating. She's the founder of the nonprofit Food for Health and the leader of Plant-Based Pittsburgh, with the mission of creating communities of health based on plant-centered food choices. She is also a yoga instructor. Welcome, Sally, and thank you for this beautiful workshop.
Well, it is a pleasure. It really is. I'm glad that people have joined in. Let me just say that if you have questions, you can, Mariquita, I guess you're going to just do the chat if need be. Okay. And that you all do know it's recorded, just so when we get into the discussion part, I wanted to emphasize that. So Plant-Based Pittsburgh is actually a nonprofit. It is a community that educates, informs, and community outreach for whole food plant-based eating. So I do have the website at the bottom of each slide. So if you ever want to get in touch with me, just contact me through there. Or if you want, as I was saying, we're open to all our Zoom events. Okay, so let's tell you a little bit about my background. I'm going to start, that what was my wake-up call to plant-based eating and becoming a total vegan is I was diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer. And this was 15 years ago, and I had immediately surgery, chemotherapy, the standard treatment, and I was officially without disease about 6 months later. But the type of cancer, the ovarian cancer, especially late stage, is notorious for coming back because it tends to be resistant to the chemo. And one health practitioner told me, she said, probably within most patients with the type I have within 24 months. So I'm like, whoa, I'm waiting when is it going to come back? And that's a picture of me, yes, with my anxiety there. I did happen to learn about the relationship between food and disease. I was on the standard American diet. I thought I was healthy until all of a sudden you're not. And that did give me a sense of control, a sense of empowerment. And so that was major. And that's got me into this change of career. I was a professor of education at a Pennsylvania University here, not at a university in Pennsylvania, I should say. And then I slowly transitioned because I had to get the word out about, as we so often feel very impassioned about this. But having said this, I am an anxiety girl. I have dealt with anxiety throughout my life. I've had several physicians say, you have a very sensitive nervous system. As I like to say, able to jump to the worst conclusion in a single bound. And as a number of years ago, I just sort of fell in, because I have been a yoga instructor, so that helps. That is such a tool to help, not just with physical health, but also emotional and cognitive. But I sort of fell into meditation, and I realized how important it is to help me with a sense of ease, a sense of more regulation, equanimity. And that's what I'm going to use today when we're talking about repairing relationships, because it has been, posted this on the Facebook, and I said that mindfulness and meditation have really, over the last several years, helped me deal with people, loved ones who are not plant-based, who have myriad diseases, including my husband of 35 years. So, you know, that is something that's been very helpful with my relationships. So I'm hoping that you will take away one or two things at least that will be helpful with your relationships. This is the outline. We're just going to start with a focused breathing, actual do it. And then we'll go over some just basic information on the slides about what is mindfulness and the importance, self-compassion, the whole idea of forgiveness when it comes to repairing relationships. And then we'll do more of a meditation practice with all this information. There is helpful resources, a slide, and there will be a link so that when this is posted on YouTube, if you want to keep that one, it's a one-page thing. If you want to download it, you can. Or you can take, a photo as we go through this. And then we'll just end with your questions, your discussion, comments. So let us begin with just centering ourselves. So wherever you are, find a very comfortable position. And I ask, close your eyes. Or if you don't want to close your eye, just bring your gaze downward and so that you're sort of out of focus on objects in front of you. And then we're going to start by focusing on the breath, because it is the breath that is so central to how our body is regulated, especially when it comes to stress and some of those negative anxiety, anxiousness, anger. So we're going to take a deep breath in, and deep breathing is coming really from the diaphragm, the lower trunk of your body. So it's important to just have a spine that's upward. And you can even do this from a lying down position, but since most of us are likely seated. And if you want to, even put your hands gently on the belly, because that can be very calming. As you inhale, just feel the belly rising and that breath's coming up through the chest. And then just hold it for a fraction, and then is the release. And you want that release to be just slow, very mindful down. So I'll walk you through several more rounds, inhaling, and sometimes it helps to even count to maybe 3 or 4, because you want a deep breath. And then it is that exhale is that release. So also making that breath just as even as your inhale, feeling the body settle downward. So just inhale a sense of gentle, calming energy. And then exhale, that's going to start your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the nervous system that is deep calming, relaxing. As you inhale, just notice the movement of your body. And then as you exhale, notice the sense of touch maybe the back of the chair, maybe your hips on a chair, maybe your feet are on the floor, arms resting. And we're going to just bring our attention inward. Just do a quick scan of the body. We'll start at the top of the head and just notice the softness behind the eyes. Just move your attention down and especially notice any release in the jaw. It's an area that often holds tension. And then we'll move into the shoulders, soften those shoulders. Another area of tension. And just move and scan your awareness through the chest, the belly, releasing through the hips, and then softening down through the thighs, the calves, the feet and toes. And finally, notice the softness in the arms and let any tension just sort of drip out of your fingers. Feeling a sense of ease, connection, and openness to what we are going through in the workshop today. Perhaps openness to new experiences, to sharing, and to connection with others. And then if your eyes are closed, just take a few moments and slowly open them. Get a sense of awareness, sense of presence. Letting go helps us to live in a more peaceful state of mind. It helps restore our balance. By letting go, you allow others to be responsible for themselves and for each of us to take our hands off situations that do not belong to us. This frees us from unnecessary stress. That's a quote from Melody Betty, and I thought it was really appropriate as we talk about repairing relationships. So I'm going to move on here, and the next slide, where we take a quick overview of mindfulness. So if you want to know, like, what is mindfulness? It's really exactly what you just did. It's the act of being present, of recognizing that the only real sense of each moment, the only sense of now is happening each moment. So what this means is it helps focus the attention so that you're not thinking what previous, you're not thinking future, but it gives you a moment just to step back and realize how you're reacting. What are your thoughts? What's your bodily reaction? So it helps in relationships, especially close, familiar, friendly relationships, we are so on automatic. We have these triggers that someone can, just the words can come out and it's just automatic response. And being mindful helps you to step back and just take a moment and think, how am I going to recognize what's going on and not instinctively react? But it can change how you are responding to a person. So basically, it's a tool. It has helped me greatly. We all have ups and downs. We have challenges every day, some more severe than others, but it really, being mindful helps to reduce that, what they like to say in the Buddhists, the suffering that we all have. So if you couple that with the idea of being compassionate with yourself, it can be a very powerful practice. And being passionate with yourself is basically recognizing, oh, I'm human. I'm human. I have imperfections. I make mistakes. I have many shortcomings. And to recognize, but also to accept them. So basically, that's why I put that. You hug yourself. It's in a sense of being kind, being caring with yourself. And this is all really based on, if you're not familiar with mindfulness and meditation, it's really based on a lot of research that is very solid, and it shows that how it can provide lasting change. It can actually have a physiological effect on the brain. So it also has a sense, because as I said, there's a lot of pitfalls day to day. It really helps to create a sense of resiliency and acceptance. Because when we're accepting our own vulnerabilities and making ourselves vulnerable towards others, we have a tendency then to recognize and accept where they're human, where they're coming from. So a lot of this is being very, as we said, mindful in the early on of your emotions, acknowledging feelings and thoughts. So let's go into forgiveness, because that's, when we're talking about repairing relationships, that can be huge. A sense of forgiveness really starts with yourself. It's as we said, compassion, your self-compassion. But when you're recognizing where you're vulnerable, what you've done, you can also think to yourself, wait a second, maybe that person might have not viewed my remarks in the way that was meant. Maybe I have done some harm, or I've wronged that person. So when you recognize this give and take, it is what I put down there. It helps free. Helps clarify what you want out of a relationship. Or even if you really do want to repair the relationship or not, but it allows you to move on and then take some solid steps. As this is from some of the meditation teachers said, forgiving self increases your empathy and your capacity to forgive others. And I think that's really important when we're talking about people who, especially as vegans and plant-based eaters in the participating today. each person has their own personality, their perspective, their experiences growing up. So all this combines to create their own truth, their own sense of reality. And so brings us, well, sometimes you can something, given this person's circumstances, what they've gone through, I might have, and fill in the blank. So if you start there with that sense of forgiveness and openness, then you can work towards forgiving others. And somebody said that giving forgiveness is really giving up hope and expectations of a different past. That, what if only, how we all go back in that story in our mind. Because we know that our grievances that are ongoing are often rooted in the sense of, should have changed. I could have changed that. They should have, he should have, all that sense of altering what we know can happen. And so when you are just playing that same script over and over and over, it's just not helpful. It's not helpful to you, it's not helpful to the relationship. So to forgive and repair using mindful meditation will help you step back and recognize what really am I hurt? Why am I resentful? Why am I angry? Because it is that awareness that allows you to start letting go. And Dr. Sonia, I always say this name wrong, so Lyubomirsky, I just won't even say it. She's her work. She does the happiness project, and she is in the resource. But she said, you are not erasing or forgetting your experience with this person. That isn't the point of it. You are just shifting how you view it, your perspective. And as Jack Kornfield said, if forgiving others opens a sense of possibilities and sense of peacefulness. And it is a training process. It's not going to happen overnight, but by step, you'll notice a change. And this is a quote from the Buddha, which I love. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one that gets burned. So you can think of anger, resentfulness. What is it doing physically to you, psychologically to you? It is really the main person that it is hurt that is yourself. So with that on mind, let's just go at some attributes. So if you're looking at, okay, what would block a sense of compassion and forgiveness? Criticism. Think about when you have felt criticized. What is it? Who was it? Theodore or Teddy Roosevelt? I get them. Which one said, comparison is the thief of joy. A sense of perfectionism with yourself and with others then. Judging yourself, judging others. And you don't know, even the simplest, I think of my husband, what I think is the simplest suggestion or comment can be perceived in a very, I don't like to be judged. So we just don't know how our words and actions are perceived by the other person. Because, again, feeling guilty isn't helpful, and certainly shame, especially when it comes to food choices, lifestyle choices. So if you take the flip side of that, what can expand a sense of compassion and forgiveness? Oh, yes. Gentleness, acceptance, a sense of openness to the other's experiences, grace for sure. Yeah. Maneuver with grace, maneuver with a sense of friendliness, and all boils down to care. So let's go over I have a couple examples, then I'm going to have you do it. So when we practice mindfulness and compassion, put those together, as we have to reiterate, it helps you recognize, be aware of what's going on, your thoughts, and then gives you a moment practice stepping back and projecting friendlier wording that can represent what you value, what you want from this relationship. Under the keynote that if you more accepting, more respectful from both ends. So let's take, I have to cook a dinner. This one example is in, I think, in the certification workbook of those who've done it. I have to cook a dinner the whole group will like. Or maybe you could be thinking or saying, you have to cook a dinner the whole group will like. You want to risk it. I prefer that it says fall. It should say all. I guess my, we don't want fall. No, we don't want. I prefer that all enjoy the food. However, having everyone together is the main value of the meal. Or you recognize that, if somebody else is cooking, you shouldn't have eaten the cake. Some people struggle with food addiction impulse. Maybe you're one of them. And maybe you made the best choice you could in that moment, in that time. So you're letting go, letting off the hook. You cannot eat that cheeseburger. If I was in the same position, same situation as you, I might have eaten that cheeseburger. So, having given you a few examples, the next slide is a reflection. So if you would just take a moment here, before we go into our meditation practice, just identify a person that you would like to have a better relationship or that triggers an undesirable emotion in you, whatever it is. And what I want you to reflect on, what were the thoughts when that person came into your mind? What were the thoughts, going through your head? They're bad because they, eat meat, whatever. But also notice not just your thoughts, but what is your physical? Because many of us, I'm going to include, when my stomach starts tightening, something's going on there, okay? Or jaw clenching, or our breath starts speeding up. So when you become aware of that, and then just take a moment, could you do something? How could you change your response? So I'm just going to be quiet and let you reflect before we actually go into practice, using your reflection into a compassion practice. And if there's any questions before we move on, certainly you can put it in the chat, or Raise your hand. Okay. It's difficult to have quiet when we're all on Zoom here. It's just not natural. So I'm going to go into the next slide. And I start with that idea of meditation. It isn't about trying to throw away ourselves, become better. It's about befriending who we are. It really is about being authentic to who you are, to your values, the type of relationships that you want to have with a person or people. So on that note, we're going to go into a compassion meditation. And Sharon Salzberg is really the guru when it comes to self-compassion and being kind. She has several books out and does podcasts, whatever. And she has a phrase that she says, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I feel safe. May I live with ease. So we're going to start. I will talk you through this meditation. And we'll start with that I as the pronoun. And then I'm going to have you picture the person who you came up with in the previous slide, who you might want to make some changes in that relationship, repair it in any way. And we'll go into the second part, which is wishing that person well. May you be happy, healthy, feel safe and at ease. So, with that note, you could just close your eyes again if you're comfortable with that. Or just a downcast gaze. And we'll just start with our breath, just to help center ourselves. So once again, just be very mindful and aware of that breath coming in through the diaphragm, your chest moving upward, and then a nice, slow, easy release, noticing the chest moving down. Inhaling, sense of calmness, centeredness. Exhale, letting any extraneous thoughts, just let them float out of your mind. And I'll start with the first part, our meditation. May I be happy. So just take a moment and say that in your mind's eye. You're on mute, you can say it out loud. Some people just like to move their lips as if they're saying it. But really feel the sense of, may I be happy. May I be healthy. Just saying those 4 words. Feeling a sense of healthfulness. May I feel safe. May perhaps noticing again the chair the ground, the earth. The feeling of safety comes from being in the present. May I live with ease. 5 words. As you breathe in, just feel those words, a sense of ease. Just exhale, release to help strengthen your ease, your equanimity. And now we're going to focus on the person who you identified. So bring that person to your mind. Picture the person. Feel their presence. And in silently or out loud, repeat, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you feel safety. May you live with ease. And then just take a moment and perhaps really picture yourself in your mind's eye of an approach, an action, a future. Doesn't have to be now, could be future action that you might want to take to help that relationship, help a feeling of peace within yourself, and ultimately for the other person also. And then just very slowly, if your eyes are closed, just slowly open them, bring yourself back to the present. And before I open it up to questions, comments, there is this slide, as I said, that you will get the PDF of this listing of resources. And it has, if you are not familiar with it, it becomes habitual. Yeah, I do it every day and I could feel it if I don't. Even for 5, 10, 15 minutes, that's all it is. It's just a matter of taking a pause. And then finally, questions, comments, things that you want to share. You can either unmute yourself if there's something you want to say, or just write it in the chat.
Thank you, Sally. I appreciated your comments. And one of the things that I have learned over the past, I guess, 5 years since I've been plant-based and my husband is not, is not giving up totally on him, but also not pushing it. And sometimes giving him a choice. So like, for dinner tonight, I said, do you want rice or baked potato? So then he had the opportunity to give me some feedback as to what he wanted. I think clearing the mind is so important, and allowing for that that opportunity to be still. So one can allow the treasures of the meditation to come in, and to also allow the feelings, that whether it's love or caring or compassion toward the other person, to be there. And I think we often don't give ourselves enough time to be still.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a meditation, it could just be 30 seconds of, I'm just going to take a deep breath here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Naomi. You're absolutely, yes. Yeah. And I think with our phones present, our computer, it can be real. It's texting. It's just, it can be overwhelming. Yes. Mm-hmm. But that stillness, I like it. The treasures, you use the word treasures. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. I agree. Thank you. That was nice.
How long have you been meditating, Sally?
Well, I'm going to say, as I said, yoga is one of the first, I really started yoga in force in 2008. And that really, that house sense of mindfulness and together. And I would say since maybe the last 4 years, I've taken it into more listening to more podcasts, taking it really into trying to do a daily practice outside of yoga or any, other teaching like that.
Well, that's amazing. I bet you sleep well at night.
I do, but I've always sleep is good. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a refreshing. I just know around 3:00 in the afternoon, it's like, oh, I can feel it in my body. Yeah, I need to close. It's really that refreshment of it.
Thank you. That's beautiful. We have a lot of good comments in the chat.
Oh, okay. Wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah. To it. So Angela's saying very relaxing and helpful. Brittany, so powerful. Thank you. And Stephanie saying that compassion exercise was so helpful. It reminded me that people just want to be heard. My brother, whom I choose, just wants to be heard and valued.
That is so important, that idea, heard and valued. We do. It's like a basic instinct to be appreciated. Yeah, Angela, I like your idea of assumptions. Yeah, lots of time our mind goes to this place, and yeah, it is. You realize, wait a second, when you take a step back, when you take that your assumptions are necessarily correct. And the idea that people can look at the same thing, be in the same thing, and they have such different sense of reality and perception. Well,
Sally, I just want to thank you. It was kind of a stressful day today at work, and this practice helped me and look at it in somewhat of a different way. So I really appreciate it. It was actually much needed. So thank you.
Oh, great, Angela. Glad. I'm glad. Well, I guess that's unless there's any other reflections. You can sleep on it. You can always email me. I feel cared for. Stephanie, we like to say. Yeah, that's great.
Well, I feel very peaceful, Sally. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was really a pleasure. I love it. So I guess this will be up on the YouTube. We did, if you do want to share. I don't know how long it takes, Marikita, but
maybe give it 4 days, 4 or 5 days, and
okay. And if you're looking for it and you don't know where to look for it, just email me at Plant-Based Pittsburgh and I'll direct you.
Definitely. And then we have some other great workshops by Dr. Angela Crawford. She was the leader in our series. So she did a workshop, I did a workshop, and this is our 3rd workshop, but this whole month has been on healing relationships. So we also have the speakers that we had every Saturday in January, and we did it YouTube. So this whole month has been focused on healing, and we all can use healing. I'm sure, I know I can. I misspeak so many times, and I have had to draw that self-compassion in. I didn't even know how to be compassionate to myself years ago. So it was Kristen Neff's book, Self-Compassion, that saved me.
Yeah, she's in the resources. Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah. So I really can relate. And I mean, thank God that saved my life. So
wow.
So that we've got all these resources that we did at .health YouTube, and all of us really want to help anyone that's struggling. So please reach out to us. No one needs to be living in sadness and shame and guilt. I mean, we all deserve better than that.
Yeah. Help each other. Yeah.
Amen to that. Well, thanks, everybody. If anybody else had anything, and thank you, Sally, for this wonderful night and this learning experience with gentleness and compassion. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, all.
Nice being with everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, and welcome to the units for the Grassroots Ambassador Certification Workbook. I am Sally Lipsky, author of the workbook. Know that much of the workbook content is based on Angela Crawford's ebook titled Plant-Based for Health, 7 Best Practices to Inspire Loved Ones to Go Plant-Based. The ebook is located on this Teachable platform. I suggest that you have the ebook open for referral as you make your way through the workbook units. Also, throughout the workbook pages, you will see small pen bullets or icons. These indicate that there is a writing reflection exercise or an application activity. You will type your answers to these activities within the Teachable document. When you have submitted your completed workbook activities, you will receive confirmation from the We Did It Health organization and your personal Grassroots Ambassador certificate. As I conclude, I hope you make your way through the workbook with feeling more proficient and more confident as you learn and practice various communication skills. Thank you and goodbye.